Hey, so I wanted to make a post today to say thank you to everyone who participated yesterday in my fitness polls and commented on my post or sent me a DM with their full opinion. It was awesome to see all the activity and to hear what everyone's stances were. So I'm going to share the total 24-hour results for each of the fitness debate topics and then give a little bit about my opinion on each one. Before I get into any of the actual questions and the results, I just want to put the disclaimer that, of course, all of these are phrased very provocatively, and there are very few clear-cut black and white answers in fitness. In almost every situation, the proper answer is it depends, because every individual you work with is different from the next, and everyone has different needs and backgrounds. So know that is my intention is to provoke and trigger some people, so know that going into this. Okay, so crazily enough, the CrossFit poll came back 50-50. Half the people are for CrossFit, half the people are anti-CrossFit, and in reality, I'm sure everyone is like somewhere actually in the middle. My opinion on CrossFit versus anti-CrossFit is, first and foremost, if you are doing something to improve your health and fitness, then good for you. I really don't care what you're doing as long as you're making progress and staying healthy. So if you want to take bar classes, if you want to be a bodybuilder, if you want to do CrossFit, if you want to take Zumba classes, like, do your thing. It's not my space to judge or say what's better than other things if what you're doing works for you. I think that there are better options out there, purely because there's more personalized training options out there. And CrossFit does a lot of movements that people are unable to do or maybe ought not to do. But if you have a good coach, then I'm sure they're able to scale it and make it work for you. So there are situations when it can be done well, and there's situations when it can be done terribly. But that can be said for anything. Like, there are plenty of powerlifting fail videos. There's plenty of bodybuilding meatheads in the gym doing things wrong. So I think that it has done wonders for normalizing resistance training. Like, it has probably put more barbells in the hands of soccer moms than any other modality of training. So it's done a lot of good. It can be done well, it can be done bad, but for the most part, I'm for it if it works for you. All right, so should you squat ass to grass, full range of motion, or does depth not matter? The way that I approach this as a coach is I ask all my clients to squat as low as they can without losing their balance. So because of people's different mobility restrictions and different anatomies, people have different ranges of motion that they're able to actively use. Some people can squat all the way down, touch their hamstrings to their calves, and come all the way back up. And some people can get somewhere right above parallel. To me, I want you to strengthen whatever range of motion you have as we continue to increase it. So as you get more range of motion, we're going to continue to go in a fuller range of motion and strengthen what you got. Now, I'll also use the squat strictly for a hormonal stressor, like a maximal stimulus for strength. So my dog's trying to get the Frisbee up. And in which case, I'm not as picky. So if the goal of using the squat is to load the body with as much weight as possible, just for that stress stimulus, then I'm not as picky with depth, because this is not a powerlifting meet and you don't have to hit below parallel to get 3 white lights. So there's situations where I will be very picky and tell them, I know you can go lower. And there's some where I say, all right, that was good. So in regards to the ab training question, majority of answers came back that compound movements are all you need to do to train the core. I would say the way that I approach this is, for a lot of beginners, I tend to add additional ab exercises because, one, they're not able to load a compound movement enough for it to really train their core. And two, for the most part, a lot of people's cores are weak, so it needs a little bit of extra love. Now, that's not an every case situation. Some people come in with really strong cores and really weak legs. Some elite people come in with really strong legs, and their weak part in their compound lift is their core. So I'll add additional core work in for them. Overall, I think when you're looking for a minimal effective training dose, compound lifts get the job done. You probably don't need to add any additional core work unless there's a red flag area there. But I will still add in plenty of core work, because that's usually what gets buy-in from clients. And that's like across the board, whether you're talking about working with adults and moms and dads, or you're working with like a college tennis team. People like their abs, so I'll throw them in. Wow. Okay, so high intensity interval training actually won, which is phenomenal to hear that people are buying into that more, because I feel like I still see plenty of people go to commercial gyms and hop on the elliptical for 2 hours, or go on the Stairmaster for 100 floors at like a half mile per hour doing their leg kickouts and stuff. I obviously am a big fan of HIIT training. If you follow any of my stories or posts, you've seen me do dumb long cardio things, and you've seen me do a lot of crazy high intensity HIIT stuff on the Aerodyne bike. So I'm a fan of both. For beginners, I usually think that they don't know how to go hard enough to warrant doing high intensity interval training. Like if you give them a 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 work to rest, they usually don't know how to go hard enough for the work period to warrant that long of rest. So I'll do plenty of steady state stuff, but that doesn't necessarily mean treadmill or elliptical. It could mean like a long circuit for beginners. And then once you're out of that beginning stage, we're going to start doing some, sorry, I got cut off there. Once you're out of the beginning stage, we're going to start implementing more high intensity interval training, because I think there is much more bang for buck with that work, and it's a better use of your time and mine as a trainer, because I think it's a disservice to clients to stand next to them on the elliptical for 30 minutes. They can do that on their own. To wear a belt or not wear a belt. It's cool this one came back 50-50 as well. So this is another one that, I mean, I've gone back and forth with in my time as a trainer and with my own training. Whether you should be strong enough to handle the weight on your own, or you should use a belt to lift maximally. I think the important piece to understand is the context of what a belt does for you. Some people look at it with the framework that the belt is a crutch and a cheating implement. And people definitely use it as such, and you'll see it plenty in the high school setting and at commercial gyms where people don't know what they're doing, where they use the belt in place of core strength, and like they use that as a crutch to hold their torso in place as they go down and up with heavy weight. In reality, the purpose of the belt is to amplify the core strength you already have. Ideally, what the belt will do is, if you are bracing, the belt adds a barrier for your core to brace against and increases the intra-abdominal pressure that holds your torso in place. So if you have a strong core, it is only stronger with a belt. And if you don't know how to use the belt, then yes, it will be a crutch. So I think that if you're going to lift maximally and the goal is to lift maximally, then you should wear a belt. I usually, with my clients, we don't wear one unless we're maxing out or we're in a phase in which we're trying to lift very heavy. So it's not something that we use all the time, but we'll use it to get the training effect we want of using a heavy weight after they have shown that they understand bracing and how to lift weight with proper core integrity. And the deadlift question. So I think this was probably my favorite question of the series. Whether you should avoid deadlifts to avoid back pain, or you should implement deadlifts to strengthen your back to avoid back pain. Obviously, just like all the rest, provocatively written, meant to provoke people into thinking a little deeper about this, and maybe take a second to actually think about why they believe what they believe. So my stance on this is that everyone should be able to deadlift. So that could mean any sort of variation of deadlift, whether that is you're a power lifter and you're lifting straight bar, sumo or conventional lifts, or you're someone picking up a kettlebell, or you're doing like dumbbell lifts off the floor, or you're picking up a sandbag, whatever it is. I think you should know how to pick things up, and that can be scaled to fit anyone's needs. Even dealing with people coming back from back injuries or back surgeries, I have progressed people into strengthening their deadlift. And again, this does not have to even mean a barbell. So I've done where someone's coming back from back injuries, we've done things to strengthen the muscles that are at play with that movement. So like posterior chain muscles and core muscles, while progressing our ability to pick things up. So like it starts with a 1-inch deadlift. So you have the implement on a raised surface, so they only have to hinge an inch to pick it up and stand up with it. And then you can lower that down, so they now have to lift it up 6 inches, or then it starts at the knee, and then it's shin height, and then maybe it's from the floor. But being able to pick things up is a basic human function that I think everyone should be able to do. So no, I don't think everyone should be straight bar deadlifting, because not everyone's capable or ready yet. You can always get there. But I think everyone should be doing some variation of a deadlift to strengthen their lower body, posterior chain, and back to avoid back pain.